Just a few months ago, he was one of the most exciting young midfielders in European football. Now, Manchester City have paid up to £86 million to sign him from Lille. And that tells you just how highly football's biggest clubs rate this teenager. Bouaddi is only 18 years old. But his story is already completely different from most players his age. He made his Lille debut when he was just 16 years old. That alone would have been impressive. But Bouaddi didn't stop there. He started getting opportunities against experienced players and eventually found himself playing on some of the biggest stages in European football. Then came one match that really made people take notice. Lille faced Real Madrid in the Champions League. And Bouaddi was trusted to play the entire match. Think about that for a second. An 18-year-old midfielder playing 90 minutes against one of the biggest clubs in football. And instead of looking overwhelmed, he looked comfortable. He showed the confidence to receive the ball under pressure. He could carry possession through midfield. He could make difficult passes. And he understood when to slow the game down and when to move it forward. That combination is incredibly rare in such a young player. And then came the 2026 World Cup. Suddenly, Bouaddi wasn't just a promising teenager playing club football. He was playing on the biggest stage in international football. Bouaddi represented Morocco during their World Cup campaign and became one of the young players attracting attention throughout the tournament. Morocco went deep into the competition, reaching the quarter-finals. And Bouaddi started 5 of their 6 matches. That experience could be incredibly important for his development. Because there is a huge difference between playing against experienced players at club level and playing against international stars when an entire country is watching. But Bouaddi didn't look like a teenager trying to survive. He looked like a midfielder who belonged there. His composure became one of his biggest strengths. He didn't panic when opponents pressed him. He was willing to take responsibility for the ball. And he showed the kind of tactical awareness that usually takes midfielders years to develop. That's when the transfer battle became serious. Some of Europe's biggest clubs were reportedly interested. Liverpool were linked with him. Arsenal were interested. Chelsea were monitoring the situation. Manchester United were also among the clubs connected with the midfielder. But Manchester City eventually won the race. And they didn't pay a small amount. City agreed a deal worth up to around £86 million. That makes Bouaddi one of the most expensive teenage footballers ever. So why would City spend that much money on an 18-year-old? Because they aren't only looking at what he is today. They're looking at what he could become. Manchester City are going through an important midfield transition. Rodri has moved to Barcelona. Tijani Reinders has also left. And City need to think about the future of their midfield. Bouaddi could become an important part of that future. He has the technical ability to play in possession. He has the physical ability to compete. And perhaps most importantly, he has the mentality to keep improving. There's another side of Bouaddi that makes his story even more interesting. He is known for being highly intelligent away from the pitch as well. He has studied mathematics remotely. He enjoys chess. And people around him have often highlighted his maturity. That matters because midfield is one of the most complicated positions in football. A midfielder has to constantly process information. Where is the opponent? Where is the space? Where are his teammates? Should he pass? Should he carry the ball? Should he slow the game down? Or should he attack immediately? Bouaddi already appears to have a natural understanding of these decisions. But now comes the hardest part. Playing for Manchester City is completely different from playing for Lille. The pressure will be enormous. The transfer fee will follow him everywhere. Every mistake will be analysed. Every performance will be compared with the price City paid. And every time he steps onto the pitch, fans will want to know whether the Wonderkid is really as special as everyone says. But that pressure could also become part of his development. If Bouaddi adapts to the Premier League, if he learns from the experienced players around him, And if he continues improving, Manchester City could have a midfielder for the next decade. That's why everyone wanted Ayyoub Bouaddi. Not because he has already become a superstar, but because football's biggest clubs believe they are looking at the beginning of something special. Lille discovered him when he was just a teenager. Morocco trusted him on the biggest international stage. And now Manchester City have made one of the biggest investments ever in a teenage midfielder. The question has changed. It's no longer, why does everyone want Ayyoub Bouaddi? Now the question is, how good can Ayyoub Bouaddi actually become? Because if he reaches his full potential, Manchester City may have just signed one of the future stars of world football. Subscribe to Football Frontier for more football stories, transfer news, Wonderkids, and the next generation of football superstars.